Hi, this is Robert Kiyosaki, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. This is the most important thing you can listen to today.
Here's the one.
I have a dream.
With great power comes great responsibility.
I could do this all day.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Cinderella story out of nowhere.
It's in the hole. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Capital Hacking begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the big show. Josh McCown here with the illustrious John Edwin. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Today's interview with Anthony was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, Mr. Arilotta. Anthony Arilotta is a pretty much wow, there's a lot to unpack here. He is famous. We know him because he was once in witness protection and has come out of the prison system and all that kind of stuff to tell his story now in writing with the big book release recently called South End Syndicate. It's an organized crime kind of memoir. Talks about what was going on outside of Boston over the last 30 years, 40 years. Man, a lot to learn from that. And obviously you and I have never had any, from that world on our show, but man, he has a lot to talk about even from his family business before.
Yeah, super smart guy. He gives history back from his grandfather, with a cart and a bike selling vegetables and fruits. And then his dad scaled it. And then, he's got an incredible story, and we don't want to give away too much. But he also has a wine business now, so you get the opportunity to buy a book and buy some great wine.
Yeah, baby. Pazzo Wine. You got to find out the backstory. You're going to love this episode.
Let's go.
John, we have Anthony Arilotta here. I'm very excited about this today. So, Anthony, welcome to the big show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Josh. John, nice to see you guys.
It's great to see you as well, Anthony. Can you just bring us back a little bit and kind of talk about you growing up and give us a little background of who you are so our listeners can connect with you?
So I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's the western part of the state, about an hour from Boston, heavily populated with Italian immigrants from southern Italy. I'm from Calabrese, southern Italy. And my family was involved in fruit and vegetable Italian import business. My grandfather started it. My father kept it going. And my father became one of the largest the largest wine grape distributor in Massachusetts, selling 35 to 40 trailer loads every wine grape season. So I was around the wine grape industry, growing business my whole life. He had a very successful business, so it taught me to be around money at a young age and business at a young age. I was counting, like I say, was doing 70, 80,000 a week in
Wow.
all cash business. And so we used to have to straighten out the money, put the 20s with the 20s and the 10s and wrap it up in $2,000 straps. So at like 5 years old, I was helping him with that business. And growing up, it was a big family business. There was like 20, 30 of us working at the store, all, grandparents, both sides, grandparents and cousins, aunts, uncles, So, and I continued with that up until my teens. And I ended up, it was hard work, very hard work, back-breaking work. I give my father credit. It was, he would get up in the morning, 4 a.m, come home 6 p.m. It was very hard. And it's just something that I don't think I could have took it to the next level business-wise, but I just got involved in other businesses that made me, you could call it easy money. And I just put my time and effort into that.
Yeah, I mean, look, so what did you say? I think off air you were telling me like give us a little more of a picture of what that business looked like for your father. How was it? You said it was even like the cart down the road, right? Selling produce daily.
So that was like when my grandfather had it, it was like the cart. But when my father had it, just picture a store and it was just everybody that was, you could call them, poor immigrants coming over, poor neighborhood people.
Yeah.
It was in a poor neighborhood, and it was just a fun, loving place. We had Italian singers coming in, playing the guitars,
Wow.
singing songs. People would be clapping for them. We had an office in the back with a stove and a kitchen, and we would be cooking all throughout the day, and customers would be coming in and drinking homemade wine with us, and eating Italian meatballs and sausages,
I love it.
and everybody, all walks of life, Irish, Italian, Spanish, blacks, well, you name it, all aspects of life came into that store, and it was just a fun, loving place. It was a store where the customers were never, how the customers are always right. Well, in that store, it was we were always right.
I
But
know that store.
yeah,
I could picture it. But I mean, I'm picturing like massive amounts of fresh food coming in and out, having to deal with some spoilage, dealing with backbreaking work.
yeah, and you just said it right there. That's the part that would drive you crazy, because if that use the spoilage, what do you do with it? You're throwing, it's like getting your money, crimpling it up and throwing it in the dumpster.
Right.
People coming in and squeezing the peaches, and you're like, what are you doing? You're bruising the peaches. Now we got to throw them away.
Right.
And it was very just very hard. And we used to get trailer loads, 6 to 7 to 10 trailer loads a week of produce, just produce.
Wow.
Saturday we would do 20 to 25,000 just on a Saturday.
That's hard to believe. That is so much revenue. We're talking the 70s and 80s, right?
70s and 80s. And let me tell you, back, we used to have to get a two-wheeler, and we would go through like 2 pallets just of cantaloupes, let's say. Now you got cantaloupes, honeydew melons, pineapples, oranges, 17 different types of oranges, tangerines, tangelos, the navels, the different size navels, the grapefruits, the lemons, the limes, and just keep, you name it.
It left an indelible mark on your mind. But, before we leave this part of your life, because you say later on you got into easy money, but
Right.
what do you think you took away from these 2 facts, right? The fact of your family all working together. By the way, you described it in a nice way. There must have been negative ways too, but cooking in the back, everybody eating some meatballs. That sounds kind of good, to be honest with you. But I imagine it had its hard parts. But what was good about it and hard about it? And what did you take away as a business person? What did you take away from that?
So I look back, and it was, like I said, it was great growing up as a kid. And we used to fool around, throw tomatoes at each other, accidentally hit a customer, and the customer would go, the little kid just hit me with a tomato. So it was fun times like that. The bad part is, I mean, it's back-breaking work. I mean, I don't think, people would realize how hard that job, that working at we had like 6, 7 just people on the floor nonstop all day long, going up to the cooler, taking out stuff, putting it in things. So the hard part was the spoilage that you throw away, it's money getting thrown away, and the backbreaking work of it. It was just excruciating, or just hard work. The business part that I learned is, I think anybody can learn this once you're involved in any business, working it and living it and doing it, whether any business it is, it's just getting involved in it. And that's how you learn the best. You can learn from other people through websites and this and that, but once you go hands on, I think you learn, and not just that, I think you learn all aspects of business. Sales is, I think, one of the most important aspects at any, in any, and you learn sales, you learn all of that, and you can also learn to take it to higher levels, like, which my plans were, taking my father's business and making, we could have been, like I said, he used to leave pallets, how Costco has the big, it was just not big enough to do that. But he used to leave pallets of onions and potatoes and fruit, just right in the boxes. People come and take 50-pound bags and walk out of the store with them. So, learning to expand on that with working with your mindset and insulate yourself with, managers and people that were, just like grocery stores are doing today. We could have done that and excelled on that level if I stayed into that way, I should.
And so before we move on, and when did the wine part come into play?
So the wine was right in the very beginning. So there's a huge, a lot of Italians, just about every Italian made homemade wine. And we have a huge Portuguese population, and just every Portuguese makes wine. And so that came from the very beginning. My father developed contacts in California. All the wine grape growers there would ship them up in the tractor trailers. Then you could fit 28 pallets on a trailer. And, he would get, like I said, every single kind of grape that you can make. Years later, he started this in the 70s. Years later, it went from the actual grapes, which is very hard. You used to have to get the grapes and squish the grapes. And then they started coming in juice, 5.5, 6 gallon buckets, already juice. But you really don't know what you're getting back then, because now people can, cut it. They can put different grapes in, just like they do with olive oils and things like that. So with the actual grapes, you know what you're buying and you're crushing
Okay.
it.
Yeah, today I know we got to get from like where you were to the easy money and then to your current business at Pazzo Wine. So help us get through that. Like, what brought you to where you are today?
So I was working for my father, and I got in some trouble at a young age. I was a wild kid growing up on the streets, getting into trouble, fights mostly, fights and everything. And I ended up doing a little prison time at a young age, 20 years old. And I learned a lot I did a state prison time. So I was around a lot of serious older men, guys that could never come home from prison, doing life 20, 30 years. And so I got taught a lot about how to make money on the streets and what rackets to get in, so you don't look at a lot of time, and you don't want to get into the rackets that hurt humanity, that are unethical type. So when I say that, I don't mean, like the rackets I got involved in and learned about was sports gambling. It's legal in it's everywhere. Sports
No,
gambling.
it's legal. Yeah.
So it's not an unethical crime. It's just that, we weren't paying taxes on it. But we're contributing to the community, putting the money back out, spending money, giving people jobs. Only we just weren't doing a W-2 and putting out 1099. And same thing with loan sharking. I had a multi-million-dollar sports gambling business. I had a multi-million-dollar loan sharking business, which is, just like hard money lenders today. They give out money. Banks give out money. In fact, you rather owe us money and delay and not pay than the banks. The banks come take your house, throw you on the streets. If you don't pay your mortgage and you're behind and things like that. So we were involved in the numbers business, multi-million-dollar business, the number business. And these are all hard businesses to keep and run. People think like, oh, you're making easy money. Yeah, it's easy money. It's a lot of money coming in, but it's still the mindset of putting all those operations together. We were controlling, the poor sections, the Spanish sections, the black sections, the Italian sections. All those people played the numbers daily. We had to send people go around, collect. We give them, 20% of the take. So if they took in 10,000, they get 2,000 right off the top and not have to pay. So it was a number business, and then we got involved in the casino type business, slot machines. We put them everywhere, and that was so lucrative. Our faction was making 250,000 a week just off slot machines from the 70s up until currently when I ended that life in 2010. And the bars also make that type of money. So we make 200,000 a week, but all the bars, not one bar, but we had a couple hundred bars. We put the machines in. They're also making 200,000 a week spread out. So I got involved in those type of crimes. But what got me to officially get out was to get really started was and marijuana. Marijuana is legal now everywhere. They're legalizing marijuana, and that was what I got involved in at a young age, selling marijuana. And the reason is because if it was a misdemeanor type offense, you don't go to prison for it. If you got caught with under 50 pounds in Massachusetts, it was a misdemeanor. You're looking at probation. And the amount of money that you could make off that is hundreds of thousands. And it got me to make millions.
What an interesting point. So it's like really smart in a sense, playing the odds. Like I'm breaking the rules. I'm going to, have, what do you call, tax evasion issues eventually, perhaps. But the crime was only a misdemeanor, but the profits were not a misdemeanor. They were strong profitability. What a crazy way to look at it. I have to admit, never thought about it that way.
Yeah. And then you could take that money, which I was doing, and taking the money and transferring it into the legitimate businesses. I was involved in dozens of restaurants, the biggest nightclub in Connecticut, all kinds of restaurants. I was involved in vending businesses, real estate deals. I had, real estate deals that were in the 20 million, that were listed for 23 million in Boston, with nothing on it. You could put 4 blocks on it, like a Costco, a Walmart, a Home Depot, plus a storefront, all kinds of, we are getting involved, partnering with GE, getting involved in a nationwide tire company that serviced all the tow truck companies, which we are going to have GE as our partner because they had like 13,000 tow truck companies that were with them, like, AAA, one of those things. So the money was very, very lucrative. But what got me to really go that route was I was working for my father, breaking my back and doing wine grapes. And you have to stack 40-pound boxes on top of each other, 7 high, 280 pounds worth of wine grapes. Take them in a two-wheeler and go load like 300. These guys would come with trucks and load 300 boxes up in a truck. And you got to pick up the 40-pound. I said, Dad, I got to go for a quick ride. I'll be right back. I go and sell 10 pounds of marijuana. I make $400 a pound. I'm back within an hour. I just made $4,000. And I was working for my father, making not even $400 a week, working 80 hours a week. So, come on, it's like I just made 4,000 in an hour. And I love my father. I love the fact that he was, he raised us. I feel so bad that he had to work so hard. But it was just too hard to work. And the money that was there for me, that was available, I just couldn't pass that off.
Josh, there's so much to unpack here. I don't even know which question to start with, but how old were you when you were loading these boxes of grapes and then selling 40 pounds of marijuana at the same time?
So I was born in 68. I was working at my father's store, picking up 30 pounds of oranges. Working at his store, dumping the oranges out so the customers could come in and buy. When you go to a grocery store, you see that display of all the oranges. Only ours, how it's all pretty and everything when you go to the grocery store. Ours was like, you just get the box. There's say 100 oranges in a box. You dump 4 of them out real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 400 oranges. And within an hour, they're gone. You need 4 more boxes up there. So, it was like at a young age, I was doing that since 5 years old. In the early 70s, I remember working at his store. And he had one store and then he combined it with another store. So I did that all the way up until, and he used to fire me all the time too. Me and my cousin would always be, like I said, getting in trouble, throwing fruits, hit the customers. He'd fire us, and then I got fired like 100 times. And then I was back. That lasted until like I was in my teenagers. Like I said, I went to prison young, and I pretty much got away from that business. I would say when I came back home in 1991, that's when it started for me.
And so that's when you started these other operations. But it sounds to me like you learned a lot of really great business skills when you were working for your dad your whole life and, separating things and understanding how money works. And then, it sounds like federal prison gave you a master's degree and so it took you to the next level.
Yeah.
And what about today, though? So, Anthony, now we know you as you just finished a book publishing media blitz, right? So you're a published author, and this is a bigger publishing house, right? What group did you work with to publish your book, and what's the name of it?
We worked with a group out of Boston called Hamilcar, and we're in every bookstore. We're on Amazon and all the sites like that. Audible book is out. I do book signings. We did a tour of 50 book signing events. I also meet and greet people myself in my local area. I do that, a couple times a day. People want a signed copy. I meet them at Starbucks or, at a Barnes and Noble, and I'll sign a copy for them, have a coffee, meet people. And it's a good way of networking. That's how you.
And
that's when I'm working.
The title of that book is The South Side Syndicate, correct?
South End Syndicate.
South End.
And it's the Springfield section, the Italian section of Springfield was the South End.
And with that book, when, we have friends that have done books. Tell us more about the life of being an author. What is the, I've been told there's not much money in being an author, but there's great leverage and opportunity. How did you look at it when you decided to write that book? What's the future for you? Public speaking or business consulting or what kind of things?
Yeah. So I wanted to tell the story of the organized crime. People don't know this today, how powerful of an organization it was. You talk about businesses, they controlled they were secretly in behind a lot of the most lucrative businesses in America. And I'm talking the garbage business, huge. You could compare that to drugs today, the cartels, the multi-billion-dollar industry. That's what it was. The mafia controlled, and the unions, all kinds of every unions, and um, legitimate businesses, the garment business, the fish industry. So you name it, the hands were on it. And people don't know that today. People don't know what the mafia was like growing up, my age group, growing up and living, especially a heavy, big presence of organized crime in Springfield. So I wanted to write the book and let the world know, because I think my story put Western Mass, Connecticut on the map.
Hi, this is Melanie McCallan. Josh and I are just so grateful for the many investors who have already joined us at Accountable Equity. Accountable Equity is so much more than a capital group. It's really a community of accredited investors that want to learn and grow together. I just want to personally invite you, if you want to find out more about this type of investment and see if it's right for you and your family, please visit us at accountableequity.com.
Hey, it's Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, and you're listening to Capital Hacking. Enjoy.
Nationally, worldwide. You heard of Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
So the guy that killed him was working for me in federal prison. He's the guy that killed Whitey Bulger in prison. So I wanted to explain to the rest of the country, and that's not national, that's worldwide news when he got killed. So it was like, I believe our story put us on the map, but I don't think it should have been like that because of, you heard of Al Capone, you heard of John Gotti. Well, you had those individuals in our areas, just so you never heard of them. And so I wanted to put the story out there, let people know Western Mass, because we had an empire. All those businesses that I told you, the Genovese crime family is who I got inducted with and got become a made member in New York City with. But that was in New York City. They had 5 families there. We had only our faction to control our huge, large area population. So the amounts of money was just crazy. Tens of millions of dollars coming in, millions of dollars coming in a week. So it was just so insane that I wanted to let people know what we had here and what, what existed in Western Mass. So at the book, you don't make any money. The book, very small amounts of money, but it's the opportunities that come with it. Meeting people, opportunities come, and I've been getting so many opportunities off of the book, and that's what I look forward to, taking advantage of them.
And today I know you as a winemaker. Okay. Yeah. I knew it was in your blood from a young age. You've been enjoying delicious wine at the table since you were knee-high to a grasshopper.
No preservatives.
No preservatives.
Yeah.
And now today you have Pazzo Wine. And tell us about the journey of Pazzo Wine. Is it going to be direct to consumer? Is it operational today? What's the plan?
So Pazzo Wine, I came up with the name because Pazzo means Italian. In Italian, it means crazy. And my life was sort of like a crazy life. I had a good woman in my life. I used to call her Pazzo, her nickname. And so, the story that I lived, I came from a great family, and I took the easy way out. And I made millions and millions of dollars doing that. And then I lost everything, and had to, see the highs, and now I've seen the lows. And so right now I'm just so honored that I can continue my family's tradition and continue on, hopefully rename my name and bring some, my family proud and, in the wine business now.
I love it. What types of wine do you guys specialize in?
So we have a Cabernet blend, we have a Sauvignon Blanc, and we have an Italian blend mixed with a Cabernet. And we have 3 right now. We're hoping to sell off quickly and then move on and broaden that to more types in the future.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Is that located? Are the grapes coming from Bohemia Manor?
Yep. Bohemia Manor is producing the wine and the wine grapes.
But it's available on website. Can you give us the URL so we can buy some right now?
I can give you it's on, if you go to Pazzo Wine on Instagram, the link is there. and that's under the Bohemian Manor website as well. Pazzo's part of that. And we're also creating another website as well, which is going to be so people can have access to that as well as the Bohemia.
And I'm sorry, how do you spell Pazzo?
Pazzo. Pazzo.
Love it.
I love it. We're going to have you back on as the wine grows and grows and grows in popularity. And I'm going to download the book here. If you say it's on Audible, I can't wait. By the way, who did you get to read it on Audible?
That was a great question, Josh. I was going to ask.
I'm not happy with that. The publisher picked and chose the who was going to read it, and it's kind of like an automated type of voice. I really wasn't happy with the way the Audible came out. But yeah, you're right. Going forward, if we could change something like that and have a even myself read the.
I was going to say you have a great voice. Like for you reading on Audible, perfect.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Yeah, thank you.
I do like it that way. So, what's the next best way for us to follow up and our listeners to follow up and learn more about you, Anthony?
So I'm on Instagram. It's Anthony Bingy Arilotta, and I'm on Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel that I'm going to start continuing. It was called Money, Mayhem, and the Mafia.
Okay.
And so I might be renaming it to the Pazzo Podcast.
I like that.
So I started off. I stopped doing it about a couple of years ago, but I'm going to continue. We grabbed like 3,000 subscribers instantly, and I get messages all the time. When am I going to keep it going? Start it back up and going. And now I have like with all the networking. Basically that's what I'm going to do. You have to do that, and opportunities come. I get DMs, I get direct messages, 10 a day. It's just, insane how much opportunities come.
It's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your authenticity and transparency, Anthony. Really appreciate it. It's been fantastic.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Damn straight. We just got we got to the end of another great show. And everyone listening right now, you're the family and friends. Thanks for staying till the end.
That was so fun. And hey, hit the like, hit subscribe. We're here to serve you guys. That's why we're doing this show. Josh is not paying me. I'm doing this off of my quote unquote sweat equity because we want to make a difference in your life. And then that ripple effect will continue to touch the world.
Hey, amen, brother. Please check us out on capitalhacking.com, all the social media threads. And yes, I know you've probably already sent this episode to one of your best friends. Thank you. We love you. Just go right into your iPhone, hit the plus symbol. We'll talk to you later. See you next week.
Share.